Hiya, my name is Lily and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the musical theatre book tag, which was created by Maddie over at Books Browsing blog. There's already a different musical theatre book tag in circulation. That's a book falling. There's already a different musical theatre book tag going, but Maddie has created this new one with some different musicals, all of which are her favourites. I thought I was a big musicals fan, but when I watched Maddie's video I actually found out that I don't know half of these musicals. Oh dear. But, you know, I've discovered some new ones, they all sound great. I'm going to do it anyway because the prompts match up to like things that I know, and also Maddie tagged me, so thank you Maddie for tagging me. I'm just going to say at the start of this video that I won't be tagging anyone specifically, but if you would like to do this tag, just go ahead and do it. Consider yourself tagged. If you feel like you need to say someone tagged you, you can say I tagged you and I'll back you up, because I've tagged all of you. But again, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. I'm just going to go straight into the tag. The first musical is Hamilton, and the song that Maddie chose is Satisfied. That song is all about Angelica and Hamilton and how they're never going to be satisfied because they're both like too ambitious and all these sorts of things. Anyway, the prompt was to pick a book that had an unsatisfying ending or you'd like to see a sequel for. For this prompt I have chosen The Girl in Red by Christina Henry, and I am a huge Christina Henry fan. I love all of her books. I was going to be seeing her on tour, but then COVID happened and the tour got cancelled and I'm really sad. I'm hoping she'll come back soon so I can get all of my books signed. This book is kind of a Little Red Riding Hood retelling, and it's about, well, maybe I don't read it right now, but it's about a pandemic, and it is about a respiratory pandemic, kind of like a flu or a cold, and everyone contracts it basically, and the government is trying to get everyone to go to these survivors camps to be quarantined. And Red, who is the main character of the book, doesn't want to go. She thinks that if you go to one of these camps you're pretty much guaranteed to get sick because it's so confined. Her grandmother lives in an isolated cabin in the woods and she is trying to trek, I think it's something like 300 miles? I don't know, America's huge. She's trying to trek a long way to go and get to her grandmother's house. And that's the story. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but the ending kind of just happened and there was no explanation of what was going on. It was all just very kind of like, and then they arrived at this place and that's the end. And you're like, oh, okay, but what happens? Like, is everyone okay? What's happened to the people there and here? And it just, yeah. And I think as much as I love Christina Henry's writing, I will have to say I'm often unsatisfied by her endings. I think that the books almost need to be an extra like 50 pages where she actually does an ending. It feels like you get this excellent pacing all the way through and then you get to the end and she just wraps it up a bit too quickly for me. But that might just be a personal taste thing. I love the books up until the end, but this one in particular, the ending really annoyed me. The next musical is one of my absolute favourites and I agree it's very underhyped. That is Everybody's Talking About Jamie, and the song that has been chosen is Everybody's Talking About Jamie, and that song is all about how there's a lot of hype around Jamie and the fact that he is starting to do drag while he's still at school. So the prompt is to pick a book that you want to read just because of the hype. For this one I am choosing The Fletcher by Beth O'Leary. I'm going to be honest with you, I read the blurb when this first came out, people were talking about it, and I thought, that sounds terrible, I'm not reading that. I just don't understand how you can share a flat and never meet each other, because as far as I'm aware, like, if someone works days and nights, there's still an overlap where they're both home. But maybe I'm wrong. Apparently so for this book. But anyway, I've heard so much hype about it. Everyone I know that has read it has loved it, including people who don't ordinarily read adult romance. So I'm guessing it must be better than it sounds from the blurb. And then I found it cheap in Tesco, so here we are. I'm reading it. If you don't know, it's about two people who share a one-bedroom flat. One of them occupies it during the day and the other one occupies it at night time. And that's it, really. I don't know much else than that. It's a romance. I'm guessing they end up together. The next musical was Anastasia and the song was Journey to the Past, I think that's the name. I've not listened to or seen Anastasia, I do know of it, but I'm not sure if I'm getting the title right, I'm sorry. But the prompt for this one was to pick a book that had flashbacks or intense backstories, and for this one I'm choosing Seconds by, who is it by? Brian Lee O'Malley, who, if you don't know this author, he is the guy that wrote the Scott Pilgrim graphic novels, which were then adapted into the film. So you might know him from that. This is pretty famous, I think. I'm hoping, anyway. This was actually a present from my boyfriend. I think it was our first Valentine's Day ever together present, and we've been together for like 3 days and he did amazing. This is a book that I'd wanted to read for a really long time, so I was really excited when he got it for me, and Brian Lee O'Malley is one of his favourite graphic novel authors. But this one is about, I don't know how to explain it without spoilers. I think I'm just going to quickly read the blurb, because I think if I try to explain it without spoilers I will just spoil it for all of you. So I'm just going to really quickly read the blurb. I'm sorry, I know that's boring to listen to, but that's the best I've got for you. Katie's got it pretty good. She's a talented young chef, she runs a successful restaurant, and she has big plans to open an even better one. Then, all at once, progress on the new location bogs down and her charming ex-boyfriend pops up. Her fling with another chef goes sour and her best waitress gets badly hurt. And just like that, Katie's life goes from pretty good to not so much. What she needs is a second chance. Everybody deserves one after all, but they don't come easy. Luckily for Katie, a mysterious girl appears in the middle of the night with a simple instruction for a do-it-yourself do-over. Number 1, write your mistake. Number 2, ingest 1 mushroom. Number 3, go to sleep. Number 4, wake anew. And just like that, all the bad stuff never happened, and Katie is given another chance to get things right. She's also got a dresser full of magical mushrooms, and an irresistible urge to make her life not just good, but perfect. Too bad it's against the rules, but Katie doesn't care about the rules, and she's about to discover the unintended consequences of best intentions. There are a lot of flashbacks that go back to Katie's life with her boyfriend, and when they bought the other restaurant they're planning to open, and when this restaurant she's currently running opens. It's really good, really well written, highly recommend it. The next musical is one I've never heard of but sounds right up my street, and it is Be More Chill, and the song that she chose was Michael in the Bathroom, which is about a boy who's been abandoned at a party, I believe, by his friends, and so he goes and hides in the bathroom. So the prompt for this one is, if you were to have to hide in a bathroom at a party, what book would you want to have with you? And I am choosing The Spiderwick Chronicles by Holly Black and Tony Dieter... how do I say it? Dieter-Lizzie. Got there in the end. Now, I wanted to choose a middle grade because if there's a party going on outside, it's going to be really hard to concentrate, so middle grade it was. And then I wanted one that I was familiar enough with that if I couldn't concentrate properly, I'd still be able to keep going. And I also wanted to choose one that was really comforting, and of course, Spiderwick Chronicles fits all of those boxes. I absolutely adore this. This is a compendium of all of the books, so I'm cheating. I get to have them all in one go. It's comforting. I think it would be great. I've already listed my reasons, I'm just going to stop there before I ramble for ages. The next musical is Six, which is a musical all about the wives of Henry VIII, and the song that was chosen was The Wives. The prompt is to pick a book that is a retelling of a famous story, historical event, anything. And I have chosen Lost Boy by Christina Henry because apparently this is the video where I stan Christina Henry. This one is a sort of prequel retelling for Peter Pan. It's kind of the origin story of Hook, which is not a spoiler, that was part of the marketing. Do not hate on me and say it's a spoiler. But yeah, it's a prequel to Peter Pan, but it is kind of a retelling of Peter Pan as well because it rewrites Peter as basically a psychopath. And the idea behind it is the reason the Lost Boys never grow up is because if they start to grow up, Peter gets them to either fight to the death or he kills them. I can't remember, but there is fighting to the death as well. It's very dark. It's all about, I mean, young boys fighting to death. I don't know what else you want me to say. It's a really, really good retelling. It's not for, if you are more of a fluffy, casual reader and you don't like any darkness at all, this is not for you. It's not crazy dark. I think if you're more of a YA reader, this is going to come across as really, really dark, but it really isn't. It's pretty standard for like horror, thriller kind of writing, so I would highly recommend it as a good sort of entry-level horror thriller book. It's really good retelling. Next up is another musical I've never heard of, and that is The Last 5 Years, and the song that was chosen was Still Hurting. So the prompt is to pick a book that hurt you and stuck with you. I don't know if I'd say my pick necessarily hurt me, but it definitely stuck with me, and that is North Child by Edith Patu, I think that's right. This is a really, really lovely edition. I bought this when I was like a young teenager because it's so pretty. It's like, this cover is, I don't know if you can see, but like it's squishy. It squishes when I touch it, and it's shiny, and it's got a ribbon. It's hardback. I love it so much. It's so like garish and ugly but pretty and beautiful at the same time. I just, oh, it is amazing. I love it. The reason I've picked this book is because when I was really little and I'd stopped reading for a while, my parents decided that I needed to get back into reading, so they took me to the library, and I remember picking up 3 books. And those 3 books have stuck with me ever since, because somehow I chose 3 amazing books and I loved them so, so dearly, and 2 of them I now own, and this one I own multiple copies of. I just couldn't stop thinking about this, and I loved it so much. I remembered the name of the book years later and I was able to find it and buy it, and I just, it's now being reprinted with a new cover which is beautiful. I will put it over here so you can see it. I'd highly recommend it. It's kind of, I don't know, I think it's young adult, not middle grade. I think the cover looks kind of middle grade-y, but it's kind of young adult, but I would say young adult. The story behind it is there's a girl who lives in this family where your sort of future is determined by which direction that your mother was facing when she gave birth to you. And if you were born facing north, you are meant to be this adventurous child that's going to run away from home and have all these amazing adventures, but also live a very risky life. And the main character's mother does not want that, but secretly the main character was born facing north, but they never tell her. They tell her she was born in a different direction and try to suppress her adventurous qualities. And then one night a polar bear appears at their cabin and he says that he needs to take her away to live in his cabin. I'm probably getting some of this wrong because I haven't reread it in a really long time, but this is the general gist of it. He takes her away to live in his ice castle essentially, and he is a prince who has been cursed by a goblin queen, and he has to make someone fall in love with him without ever seeing his human face. So it's kind of Beauty and the Beast, but it's not Beauty and the Beast, it's a completely different story. It's really good, it goes in directions you wouldn't expect, and it's stuck with me for years. I really look forward to rereading it soon because there's a sequel that's been released that I need to read, so I'm all about this right now. The next musical is Come From Away, and the song is Me in the Sky, which is all about trying to chase your dreams and get your dream job. So the prompt was to pick a book that featured your dream job, and I have chosen The Help. And honestly, this was a bit of a stretch. The reason I chose this is because Skeeter, who is one of the main characters, I mean spoilers, but like if you don't know this, I feel like you're behind. But she becomes an author and also gets a job at a publishing house, and that combination would be my absolute dream. It's never going to happen because I've kind of accepted that that lifestyle would not suit me, so I'm just gonna have to like dream of it. But honestly, I didn't want to choose this book because I don't think that's not what this book is about at all. But it's the only book I could find on my shelves that featured someone who was a writer but wasn't a journalist. So yeah, that's the only reason I've chosen this book. The next musical was Newsies, and the song was Santa Fe. So the prompt was to pick a book that features a place that you would like to go and visit, and I have chosen Waitress by Marie Lu. I am absolutely desperate to go and visit Tokyo. The more pictures I see, the more I think that city just looks like an ideal for me. It's a really good blend of urban but with green spaces and lots of cultural spaces to visit, but it still has the shopping centres and great restaurants and all that stuff. It just looks... I just want to go so badly. I mean, there's so many cities I want to go and visit. I've discovered now that I'm a kind of an adventure holiday person. I like to go and see things. I either want to see things of historical importance, I want to explore cities, or I want to go and visit places that like allow me to explore culture. And Tokyo is one of those places I'm desperate to visit. This is also kind of an even more futuristic version of Tokyo, because to be honest with you, as a Westerner, Tokyo always looks really futuristic because they actually, you know, spend money on infrastructure. So yeah, this is even more futuristic, which would be amazing to visit too. If you don't know what Warcross is about, it is about a young girl called Amika Chen. She is a bounty hunter, so she tries to find people who are cheating at this virtual reality game and catches them for a bounty. One day she manages to hack into the World Championships, I think it is, of this game, which is like unprecedented, unheard of. So she gets flown out to Tokyo to become part of the games essentially, but she's also hired by the game's creator to try and hunt down someone who is elusive but is trying to take down the game from the inside. And it's really, really good. I mean, Tokyo doesn't feature much because most of it takes place inside the game, but I think it's a really good book. The next musical is Waitress, and I am so sad I didn't get to go and see that on the West End before it closed. I believe it's now closing because of COVID, and that's so sad. I really wanted to go and see it, but I'll have to wait for it to come back, unfortunately. The song that was chosen is When He Sees Me, and that means the prompt was to pick a book that you fell in love with at first sight. So cover love basically, and I have chosen, of course, Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez. I'm about halfway through this right now, and it's just look at this cover. If you don't know, if you don't live in the UK, our major bookstore, high street bookstore, Waterstones, do a scheme where every £5 you spend you get half a stamp, and once you've collected 10 stamps you can then get £10 off your next purchase, which is really, really good. I have just finished a 10 stamp collection, so I've now got £10 off my next purchase, and I'm considering genuinely getting this book but in the standard hardback, because that's black, it's a different colour, so I want both of them because they're both so pretty. It's kind of hard to explain this one without spoilers, so I'm just going to read the blurb quickly again. I apologise, I try not to do this too much, but I just really don't want to spoil you on this amazing book. Ximena is the decoy Condessa, a stand-in for the last remaining Illustrian royal. Her people lost everything when the usurper Atok used an ancient relic to summon ghosts and drive the Illustrians from La Ciudad. Now Ximena is motivated by her insatiable thirst for revenge and her rare ability to spin thread from moonlight. When Atok demands the real Condessa's hand in marriage, it's Ximena's duty to go in her stead. She relishes the chance as Illustrian spies have reported that Atok's no longer carrying his deadly relic. If Ximena can find it, she can return the true aristocrata to their rightful place. She hunts for the relic, using her weaving ability to hide messages and tapestries for the resistance. But when a masked vigilante, a warm-hearted princessa, and a thoughtful healer challenge Ximena, her mission becomes more complicated. There could be a way to overthrow the usurper without starting another war, but only if Ximena turns her back on revenge and her Condessa. Really, really good. Highly recommend it. I'm halfway through and I just want to go back and read it right now. So that's a sign that it's really good, and the cover is beautiful, so you clearly need it. The next musical is Dear Evan Hansen, which is another one I am absolutely desperate to go and see. It sounds amazing. The song was Disappear, and the prompt is to pick a backlist book that you think is like criminally underhyped. And I am choosing The Year After You by Nina DePass. This book, I think I got an arc of this. I think I got it from a giveaway, and it was just incredible. It's so harrowing, so sad. It's all about the story of, there's a girl who, her best friend has died. You don't really know much about how she died or what happened, but you know that the main character feels responsible for her death. And because of that, she's kind of withdrawn. She doesn't speak very much. She's wearing grungy clothing and, you know, she's being very angsty teen, but to the extreme about it. And as a sort of last resort to try and help her, her family send her away to go and, well, they send her away to a boarding school in Switzerland, where they're hoping she will essentially find herself, find happiness, find peace. And it's a really, really sad story. Not just about her, but about some of the friends that she makes. And I think it really shows you the real emotions that, I don't know, teenagers are going through every day. And I'm really sad that it didn't blow up in the way I was expecting it to. I did see lots of people reading it, but the hype really disappeared quite quickly, and I wish more people would read this book. The final compulsory one is Legally Blonde, another musical that I didn't know until recently was actually a musical, and I'm really hyped to go see that one day. The song that was chosen was What You Want, so the prompt is to discuss something you would like to see more of in books. This is really easy for me because it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and it's I would really like to see more positive own voices autism rep in books. If you come into the comments and start wrecking me books that are about autistic people but aren't written by autistic people, I might just scream. Bonus point if it was written by someone who has an autistic child and thus thinks they are an expert in the autistic experience. No, you're not. You're really not. Just shut up. I don't want to hear it. You're not. You know what your child's experience was to some extent, but you are not your child. Anyway, rant over. So I just think that a lot of the narrative around autism and autistic people is that we all, I don't know, we all have to live in sheltered housing our whole lives, that we are hopeless, that we'll always be single, that we're always struggling. You know, there's a new movie coming out about disabled people that was, oh, they can't get laid, so their carer is taking them to a brothel to get laid. And it's like, yeah, because disabled people can only get laid if they pay for it. What? No. This is why I want more autistic people writing books about autistic people, and I think it would be amazing. I know when I was diagnosed at the age of 20, I think I was, for me it was really hard to deal with, because all of these narratives around me was about how being autistic was bad and sad, and it was horrible. Hiya, this is Editing Lily coming back at you to say I don't know what's happened with the rest of the video. I think the file corrupted and so the last few minutes have been cut off. I think I covered all but one question. I don't want to refilm that last question because honestly I just think I'm gonna leave it as it is and just say I'm really sorry it got cut off, because I don't know what's happened. But if you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing and leave a comment down below to let me know what you think of my responses. Have you read any of these books? Do you have any recommendations for me? And do you have any musicals you think I should check out based on this? That's it for this video, so thank you for watching. Please like this video if you liked it. Bye!